I'm a child of the Most High God. I'm a winner. I'm not a whiner. I'm the head, not the tail. I'm a strong finisher. I prosper, flourish, and succeed in every area of my life. I prosper, flourish, and succeed in my finances. I prosper, flourish, and succeed in my body. When I pray, he hears me. When I pray according to his desires, and then I know that I have what I ask for. When he speaks to me, I listen and obey. I'm a child of the Most High God.
Welcome back to Dad Awesome. Today, episode 337. This is the second installment of this summer series. So we've got this summer series going, Dad Awesome +3, DA+3 discussion guides, group guides, and I just pray that this is helpful. These are shorter podcasts that are launching back to content from the past. So today's conversation comes from episode 298 with Dr. Jackson Drumgoole, and I'm taking content from the past. I'm saying this is my top 5 takeaways. So some of you guys, that's helpful. You're like, well, tell me your takeaways. Well, here's my top 5 takeaways. I'm going to share them with you today. The whole purpose, though, is in the show notes, all of the discussion questions. I'm trying to move you guys this summer into activation towards brotherhood. The Dad Awesome way is you and other dads together growing, together encouraging one another, together learning, together holding each other accountable, together sharing, man, this was hard. Can you guys help me here? Friendships and brotherhood is the Dad Awesome way. So that's the point here. Episode 337 today, featuring these top 5 takeaways. So here we go. Top 5 takeaways from Dr. Jackson Drumgoole. And here's the first one. Be the loudest voice in your kids' ears. Dads, this is right to me. I want to be the loudest voice for my 4 daughters, the loudest voice when they think about where's wisdom come from, when they think about where does cheerleading come from, when they think about where does encouragement come from, where does helpfulness come from, where does blessings come from. The loudest voice. The loudest voice should be my voice as dad. And there's a couple kind of sub points from this. One is just be present, be involved. If your voice is not heard, if you're not in proximity to your kids, then you have no chance of being the loudest voice in their ears. Be the primary influence means that we're trying in a culture that's all kinds of signals are coming at the kids all the time. We're trying to bring our intentionality and bring our presence and say, hey, actually, this is influence. This is God's way. It's opening the Bible with our kids. It's talking about things going on in the world with our kids. There's so many ways that we can be a primary influence, and there's so many ways that we can increase the dial of intentionality around our presence, our involvement, our intentionality, am I fully present or am I partially there? That's going to affect us being the loudest voice in our kids' ears. The second top takeaway is, man, we need to encourage persistence and resilience. I asked some questions around just, man, what about like how hard should we push our kids? I want my daughters to be resilient. I want them to finish their commitments. And Dr. Jackson Drumgoole, he came back with, man, we actually need to teach our kids the value of sticking with their commitments. Their word is a big deal. We need to emphasize completing tasks rather than just our focus be on competing and a mindset. This is a big deal. Mindset of perseverance. This is what we celebrate. You stuck with it. You stuck with it. That's what we celebrate, not how many points they score in the basketball game. So let's really focus and increase our intentionality around, man, we can help our kids grow in persistence and resilience. The third takeaway is problem solving. Problem solving skills. This is such an important area for us to foster and encourage with our kids is can we be a problem solver here? Hey, this happened. Can we solve problems there? And also a way to create more opportunities for problem solving. We actually did this recently. My daughter and I, there was a door handle that was snag. It wasn't working. So we took it apart together, looked at all the parts, put it back together. And my daughter saw me a little frustrated because I was having a hard time. I couldn't fix this door handle, this slider door that had this piece that was supposed to retract. It wasn't working. Anyways, she got to be a part of that problem solving with me, but we can encourage exploration. We just hooked up this slack line in the backyard of the house we're renting. The slack line is all about exploration, balance. You're walking on a tightrope. You got to figure out which trees to hook it to. Where's the right spot for the ground? How do you ratchet this strap to be tight enough to hold dad's weight? So exploration can be a new park to explore. It can be trying out let's try kayaking together. Hey, let's try this. Summer's a perfect time for encouraging exploration. Exploration leads to challenges. Challenges lead to a need for problem solving. So the problem solving, there's so much more I can grow in this area of helping my girls be problem solvers, encouraging them to explore. The fourth takeaway is create a safe and welcoming home environment. So they were known as having the Kool-Aid house. This is Dr. Jackson and his wife. A home environment where your kids want to bring their friends over. A home environment does not mean huge money and you're always serving all this crazy food and drink. It doesn't have to be that. But you do have a heart for hospitality. You have a spot that you celebrate and encourage your kids to bring their kids over. It doesn't mean you have to have all the game system, the theater room, this or that. But it does mean that you're encouraging and fostering our house is a house of fun. Our house is a safe place. We celebrate and encourage our kids to bring their friends over to our place. So I think there's a lot of growth that my wife and I can still work on to make our home be a spot that like our girls are just like, come to my house. That's the spot I want to be. We all can grow in this, but it's a huge deal. And if you listen to the full podcast, man, he has a lot to say about that topic. The last one is positive declarations. And this is such a cool story. I want you to actually listen to Dr. Jackson Drumgoole talk about the driving his kids' friends, the culture of prayer, and then him go into praying some declarations, the ones he taught his kids when they were the age 3. So take a listen.
I was taking all the kids to school in my huge Suburban, right?
Yep.
They come in the morning about 6 o'clock, fill up my living room. And before we leave there, we say a declaration and we would pray.
Yes.
Everybody, and I would pass the microphone around. Hey, this morning, hey, you're praying this morning. All right, you're praying this morning. Mr. Drumgoole, I'm sleepy. Hey, you're riding, you're praying. Let's go. And let's cover each other until we got to the point, because again, everything to a child is normal.
Right.
Everything to a child is normal. And if they didn't experience that in their household, it's okay. When you come over here, this is how we rock, and this is what we do. And so they would just jump on the mic or whether we forget to pray, one of the kids in the back, hey, Mr. D, we forgot to pray. Hey, take us to the kingdom, brother. Let's go. Let's take us to the throne room this morning.
That's it. And you're going full circle, though, to being wanting to be the loudest voice in your kids' ears. And because you created a safe, welcoming place, now you're the loudest voice or a loud voice in your kids' friends' ears. And through declarations, comes back to flourishing, because I've heard you pray this prayer that you taught your kids to pray, these declarations. And I believe the idea of flourishing is all threaded throughout here. Do you recall off the top of your mind, because I know it's been a little bit since you were driving the kids to school, could you read pray some of the declarations with us now?
I'm a child of the Most High God. I'm a winner. I'm not a whiner. I'm the head, not the tail. I'm a strong finisher. I prosper, flourish, and succeed in every area of my life. I prosper, flourish, and succeed in my finances. I prosper, flourish, and succeed in my body. When I pray, he hears me. When I pray according to his desires, and then I know that I have what I ask for. When I speak to him, when he speaks to me, I listen and obey. I'm a child of the Most High God. And it probably goes about a few minutes, but that was it in short.
Yes. And all of us dads can write declarations and can teach them to our kids. And then when we hear our kids' voices declaring, we get to soak it right back in, which I know is part of your heart there.
That was the point of doing it. I think I taught them that when they were 3 years old. Wow. And they were 3 years old. And we'd stand up in the morning and they'd say that. But I wrote it because of what I was going through at the time. Yep. And I needed to know who I was in Christ. Yep. And so I needed to hear it from them for them to remind me and me to remind them. And we just had that cycle. That's the flourishing part.
Oh my goodness. I loved this conversation. This was, again, almost a year ago with Dr. Jackson Drumgoole, these points, but this is my takeaways, simply my takeaways. So if you look in the show notes of the app that you're on right now, listening to this podcast, or you just go to dadawesome.org/podcast, just find episode 337. All of the discussion questions are listed right here. So this is all set for you to invite some dads over to your backyard for a campfire. Invite some dads to go fishing for the day, but talk about this. Invite the dads out for a bike ride, but at the end of the bike ride, sit down for a cup of coffee, iced coffee, and talk about these questions. This is simply a resource for you to be dad awesome. It means it takes someone to be the spark, someone to go first and say, hey, let's get together, but then let's talk about being an intentional dad. And here's a quick listen, this week's podcast, quick listen ahead of time, and then we'll talk about these 5 takeaways from this episode. Or you can just show up and you'll have the discussion questions. You can lead into this time. So I'm praying for you guys. Have some great conversations this week.